So, when you think about how Christianity spread across early medieval Europe, the story we usually get is pretty simple, right? A powerful faith comes in and converts the so-called barbarian tribes. But what if that's only half the picture? Today, we're going to dig into a really fascinating twist on that whole narrative, based on the work of James C. Russell, who argues that maybe, just maybe, the exact opposite happened.
This is the classic question, the one we always ask. It sets up Christianity as the main character, the active force, and the Germanic peoples as just sort of passively waiting to be converted. It seems straightforward enough, but it's missing out on a much cooler, more complex story. Now, this question, this one flips the entire script. It suggests that this wasn't a one-way street at all. Instead, it was a massive cultural collision that ended up transforming Christianity itself. So how in the world could that happen? Well, to get it, we've got to look at these two very different worlds that were on a collision course. All right, first up, a tale of two worlds. To really understand what's going on, you have to picture these two incredibly different societies. You've got the crumbling late Roman Empire on one side, and the energetic tribal world of the Germanic peoples on the other.
And here's the fundamental difference. On one hand, you have late Roman society. It is socially just unraveling. People felt a deep sense of purposelessness, a feeling that sociologists call anomie. For someone living in that chaos, a world-rejecting religion like early Christianity, which said, hey, this broken world isn't what matters, it's the next one, well, that was a perfect message. But then you look at Germanic society. It's the total opposite. You have this incredible group solidarity, powerful bonds of kinship and community. Their religion was world-accepting. It was all about honor, heroism, and success in this life. You couldn't have two more different ways of looking at the world.
Let's just double-click on that term for a second, anomie. Imagine living in a world where all the old rules, all the traditions, everything that held society together is just falling apart. You'd feel adrift, disconnected. That's what so many people in the late Roman Empire were feeling. And into that void comes Christianity, offering a brand new community, a new set of rules, and a powerful promise that all this chaos, right here, right now, it's not the end of the story. So you see the problem, right? It's a total mismatch. The core message of early Christianity, turn the other cheek, focus on salvation in the afterlife, that was just never going to fly with a heroic warrior culture that valued strength, loyalty, and glory in battle above all else. For Christianity to have any chance of succeeding here, something had to change, something had to give. Okay, so what do you do when your message just isn't landing? You adapt, or you fail. This is where Christianity pulls off a brilliant and absolutely crucial strategic pivot. This quote from Russell's book really just nails it. For Christianity to be accepted, it couldn't just stay foreign. It had to be seen as speaking to the things the Germanic people actually cared about: heroic values, political power, and this deep belief in magic and gods who could actually do things for you in the here and now. So, what did this new playbook actually look like? Well, first, they gave the message a heroic makeover. Jesus was presented less as a humble servant and more as a triumphant, divine warrior king. The saints became his loyal champions. Second, they were smart about it. They incorporated local traditions instead of trying to stamp them all out. You see pagan festivals and sacred places getting absorbed and rebranded with a Christian meaning. It's a process called syncretism. And third, and this is huge, they shifted the focus to a God of power. A God who wasn't just about saving your soul later, but who could give you victory in battle and protect your people right now.
So what was the result of all this? Well, these adaptations weren't just some temporary marketing gimmick. They didn't just put a new coat of paint on the old faith. No, they fundamentally reshaped Christianity itself, creating a version of the faith that would go on to dominate Europe for 1,000 years.
I mean, just look at this artifact. This is incredible visual proof. This is not the gentle, meek Jesus you might be used to seeing in later art. This is a warrior Christ. He looks like a chieftain, powerful and ready for a fight. This single image tells the whole story, doesn't it? It's the perfect symbol of two completely different worlds smashing together and creating something new. And this fusion, this cultural mashup, had some huge, long-lasting effects that really define medieval Christianity. Suddenly you get the rise of warrior saints, like St. Michael the Archangel. You get the cult of relics, where physical objects are believed to hold real, tangible divine power, an idea that would have felt very familiar to pre-Christian magical beliefs.
This whole ethos eventually develops into the code of chivalry, which is a direct blend of Germanic warrior ethics with Christian morals. And maybe the most dramatic result of all? It lays the ideological foundation for the Crusades, the ultimate idea of a holy war, where fighting for bad becomes the greatest heroic act a warrior can perform.
So that's a fascinating bit of medieval history, but why should we care about it today? Well, because this story isn't just about the past. It shows us something huge and universal about how belief and culture always interact, everywhere and in every time period. This, right here, is the big idea. We tend to think of religions or big belief systems as these fixed, unchanging things that just roll over a culture. But this history shows us it's a two-way street. The culture always talks back. It pushes back, it reshapes, it reinterprets the new belief system until it fits with its own deeply held values. It's always a dialogue, never just a monologue. And that, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. If a faith can be this flexible, if it can be remade and remolded as it moves through different times and places, then what does that tell us about faith itself? What's the permanent, unchanging core, and what's just the cultural clothing it happens to be wearing at the time? That is definitely something worth thinking about.